Toodle Toodle or whatever your name is, too long to answer in your comments section. Do you really think that Fancy Pansy, who's nothing but a habitual liar, let's see how she lied. She has taken, she says she has all of Gypsy's medical records. She doesn't. She has part of them, but she doesn't have any one. Two, she's lied about those to fit her narrative. Like trying to say Gypsy needed the feeding tube. If she needed the feeding tube, how come she doesn't now? Okay, yeah, bingo. Two, Fancy Lies says she's an author. She wrote books since she was a kid, but yet has nothing to show that she's even been published. Why? Because she hasn't. Then she was Another World or something that she's claiming she was an extra on and she got credits for it. Guess what, honey? They don't give credits to extras. They're called extras for a reason. They play no real part. They're just like in the scene. Like Boy Meets World, if they're in a place and there's a lot of people around, all those are extras. They have no speaking part. They don't get credits. Okay? And that has been proven over on TikTok. It's been exposed. Fancy is a liar who takes truth and twists it. She went in this thinking, oh, Gypsy's guilty all out. So she says, oh, her mother, yes, she had to do that because she needed it. No, she didn't need it. And they're shady doctors. And even if you heard the detective who sat there and investigated the original thing, they said how they learned it. The mother was doing all this without getting caught so much. She went to a lot of doctors who wouldn't do it and thought she was munchy, that there was nothing wrong. So she would go to different doctors. She was actually taking Gypsy out of town to other doctors until she found one shady enough who just went by her symptoms. They went by her symptoms. My sister had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. The doctors didn't ask if she could still eat or not. My mother just decided to have one put in. So she went to the doctor and says, hey, I want one to put in. No questions asked. They put one in, my sister, even though I felt she did not need it at the time. Don't get me wrong, it was good because sooner or later she would need it. Maybe. But apparently she could really eat all the way up to the day she passed away. Okay? So yeah, you can find doctors to do what you want. But that's what people don't understand. Yeah, I fully believe she was medically abused. It could, she was. When you can block stuff out, remember it later, tell the story, not quite the same, that doesn't make her a liar. And it also doesn't make right what she did. But it's awful funny when it comes to Nick, who actually did the stabbing. Everybody's praising him and standing behind him. Well, the reality is, yeah, he had autism. But he was higher score at autism. Okay? He's more like Asperger's. Even by his own mother's saying he had Asperger's. Because you see, what you don't realize, and I'm going to tell you as an autism mother, they used to, autism and Asperger syndrome, they were kept separate. But not now. They're combined and they're all considered all one. And that Asperger is now high-functioning autism. He knew that committing murder to kill Dee was wrong. He knew. Yes, she may have asked him, and she might have say, oh, yeah, for us to be together, yeah, she probably lied and manipulated him. I can understand why. Doesn't make it right. But still, he had the choice. Do you know he said even today, that he would do it all over again? The man is dangerous. Talking about dark side and yeah, he should never be let out. People are ridiculing her because she only had to do 8 out of a 10 years, that she got 10 years. It's called parole. If she only got 10 years, they do that quite often. When there are a crime, I want you to understand this with your simple mind. When there's a crime committed by 2 people, they often will offer a plea deal to the one with the, quote, lesser offense. Contrary to what Fancy says, she did not stab her mother at all. That was all Nick, by his own admission. In his own admission during interrogation, okay, that he only considered 4 of the stabbings because they're the ones that went in deeper, but the other ones he didn't really count them because they weren't, I guess, deep enough or whatever. You're following Gypsy. Fancy. And Fancy's a liar. Do your own independent study of it if you got to. See, you guys aren't got nothing better to do. You got to get clout, subscribers off of Gypsy's back. And the thing is, she's not even on social media anymore. She's off. She just got private Facebook and stuff, but she's not on public social media. And still you guys make up stuff. In fact, I think it's even worse because you guys are coming up with all kind of bullcrap. And that's what it is, bullcrap. I mean, you're not as bad or near as bad as Fancy or that other one. She needs to go back to being a beauty. She started out, I guess, as a beauty channel. Then she jumped on the bag wagon. She's the one that started the rumor that she married her brother and showed a family tree and didn't even know how to read the fucking thing, because if she knew how to read it, she would have realized the line where it had her husband's name was a cross, not in the middle, which indicate that was her husband. But she didn't. Another creator sat there and stitched her and explained to her how those work. But she didn't care. That woman has started more rumors. In fact, she started more rumors than Fancy. It be the truth. Oh yeah, I'm banned from her channel because I called her out on it. I totally called her out. She didn't like that. Fancy didn't like it either. Fancy doesn't like to be told that she's wrong. She gets mad. Now I admit, Fancy's getting, she got the restraining order. Haven't you noticed that she hasn't quite talked as much about Gypsy lately? Have you noticed she's talking about other things, that she's a writer and she's got books and all this other crap? It's because she has nothing to talk about. Why what Gypsy should have done, because what Fancy did was unethical. Okay? She was supposed to do a thing with them. She lied and was manipulating herself. And when Gypsy and them figured out what she was, they fired her. Now, at that point, she should have turned over those medical records back to them. She didn't. Instead, she kept them, and out of anger, because she was fired, distanced from, decided she was going to get revenge. Haven't you guys figured out what her motive was? I tell you what the bitch's motive was. Hey, they didn't let me finish the job. They didn't let me do it. I was piddle-paddling around and wasn't listening. I got fired, so let me get even with them. Do your own independent and quit talking crap and lies, because you couldn't have got that kind of information because she's not on social media. And then you get mad when somebody calls you out in the comments. If your saying was true, why would you get so angry? You got angry because it's true. Bye. Oh, and you can block me, but it's not like TikTok. If you block somebody on TikTok, they can't even see any of your content or anything else. I wish YouTube was like that. All that means is that if somebody you got blocked and they watch your media, they just can't comment. So guess what? I'm gonna call you out every time. What if you're gonna talk about Gypsy? Why don't you talk about Gypsy? How she manipulated poor Ryan. How does she manipulate poor Ryan? She's going in front of the parole board. It looks a whole lot better at the parole board if they figure she's got real support, like a husband. They may not consider the father because where in the hell was he all those years that he could have stopped the abuse? But a husband, a whole different story. I mean, he's really overweight. She didn't care if he lost a job because of her. And then they started attacking him. He was not a child there that's proven, that's false. And yes, he already got another job, a teaching job. So they attacked him simply because he was with Gypsy, the poor guy. And she used him. Here comes Ken. And I think she did go, because she dropped poor Ryan, who's heartbroken, is not dealing with this well. And then a couple of days later, she's with Ken. Why don't you talk about that? Those are public records. Oh, it might not be interesting. It's not, yeah. You don't want to do that, right? But I will. I think she's just like Dee Dee. Her mother was manipulative. She manipulated Gypsy. Even though Gypsy knew she could walk, she feared to do it. And that's why all the neighbors testified that and said, even on those shows on Lifetime and stuff, said they had never saw Gypsy out of a wheelchair. The doctor said they never heard Gypsy talk. And then people say, oh, she could have just jumped out there. Yeah, right, with her mother right there, where she knew what the repercussions would have been when they got home. If you're being medically abused so much by your mother that you become afraid, terrified to jump up and tell the doctor there's nothing wrong with me. This is all this, for fear of what will happen when you get home. And the CPS that one time was sent over there, they messed up. They messed up. You gonna sit there and talk to Gypsy with her mother being right there, within hearing range? You think Gypsy was gonna say anything knowing her mother was right there, who would hear her? Of course Gypsy was gonna lie and say, no, everything's fine. Of course she was. Because her mother was just around the corner who could hear every question. That worker did it totally wrong. She was supposed to take that child away where the mother couldn't hear. Gypsy should have been yanked out of that house right then. Because the reality is, had they done that, they would have seen that Gypsy could walk. They would have charged Dee Dee, and Dee Dee still be alive. Talk about, oh, she should have left. She did leave. Remember? She left. She thought that guy was going to help her, so she left. What happened when she went to the house? Called Dee Dee's mother. Mother, come over. She's afraid not to go back to her mother. And yeah, you can chain somebody up with a dog chain. Dee Dee never said it was done hundreds of times. Dee Dee admits she picked up the BB gun and shot. She didn't lie about that. She just didn't realize it was a BB gun. All these things she did was to protect herself. But y'all don't get that. Well, you know what? If you're going to be mad because y'all feel... And for you people to actually go to her PO officer as a, tell the officer bold-faced lies you did. Bold-faced lies to try to get her to go back to prison. That to me was pretty shitty. I'm not saying you did it. But a girl named Amy did, and some others did. But guess what? For all of us to say he was getting tired of it because he had to investigate each and every one. He looked at those messages she wrote. And determined, no. She did not violate it. That's what he told her to get off public social media. But that ain't enough for all of you. So instead of calling out Gypsy, why don't you call out the system that offered her the parole, that offered her to get out early? That's where the issue is. That's where the problem is. Why isn't the doctor being called out? Who publicly admitted he thought Dee Dee was suffering from, that she was medically abusing her daughter. That she had much, I can't pronounce it with these ditchers, but you know what I mean. But yet he did nothing. He didn't report it to CPS. He didn't report it to anybody. Had he done that, Dee Dee would have been alive. Gypsy wouldn't have a record. Nick wouldn't be in prison. Did y'all think about that? Why don't you do it on Nick, who is extremely dangerous? Okay? He has high-functioning autism, is schizophrenic, and he's talking about dark inside things off Smiley. And you all think he ought to get out of prison. You all forget, he was offered, he had attorneys who did their job. He was offered plea deals. He turned them down. Now, whether his lawyers thought they could beat the case, which I don't think, I think he thought he could. Because if the lawyers did, they would have brought up the fact that he had autism in court, which I don't believe happened. Should he have another trial? No. Maybe they should have brought up autism, but still he got adequate attorney. And yes, he needs to stay in prison. Y'all think Gypsy needs to stay in prison? So does he. But y'all don't think that. Because I guarantee you, Gypsy probably won't ever commit murder or conspire to commit murder. You let Nick out, I guarantee he will do it again. He will do it again. He has nothing to hold him in. And that could be part of his autism. I doubt that, because I have an autism son who's more autism than him, and who knows you don't kill somebody. My Joseph would have said no, and then went and told somebody. Schizophrenic part of him? Yeah. I think the man is very dangerous, and I don't think he can get out. Once you all talk about that, instead of talking about Gypsy, which does absolutely no good, it's not going to put her into prison. If it was going to put her in prison, don't you think it would have put her in there already? You're just trying to get clout off of her back. I'm not a fan of Gypsy. I thought it stunk how she dumped poor Ryan, who's got a restraining order. And everybody says, why did he talk? He's got a restraining order until that divorce is finished and the judge takes off that. Is it? Watch you talk about how she makes more money, has got more money off of these deals from Lifetime and everything else. But yeah, she's going to ask Ryan for alimony. She should be paying Ryan alimony. She's not going to get alimony. But see, that's just, she's doing just what her mama did. Milking the system. And I hope the judge sees through that. Because there's no prenup. There's no prenup. Now, they did that show with Lifetime, and people got to consider he may not be able, the post he put up on TikTok, well, he was basically telling you he wasn't free to talk about it. And people believe in that, oh, he's hoarding food and this and this and that, and that's why she left him. We were not behind closed doors to actually see, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. Because at first I thought maybe possible. But what, a few days later she's up with her ex-fiance, kid? Matching tattoos? In the same hotel room, but hey, they're just friends. If you think they were just friends in there, think again. She even says, no, I'm not pregnant. I'm on birth control. Pretty soon she'd be saying it's on fire. Why don't you talk about that?